everyone. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. It's been 1 year since Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston became the 7th president of Norfolk State University. She came with a vision and began to implement her plan. And then came the coronavirus pandemic, forcing her to pivot to online learning and sending students home. Up next on Another View, the president the students called Dr. J, successes, challenges, the pandemic, and what's next for the 12th largest HBCU in the country. And we remember those who lost their lives at the hand of a fellow co-worker during the Virginia Beach massacre. The first year commemoration is this weekend. It's all next on Another View, so stay tuned.
Discussing today's topics from an African-American perspective, this is Another View.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. You know, I was thinking about today's show, and I still think it is a show with examples of triumph over tragedy. And this is what I mean. This weekend marks 1 year since the horrific mass shooting in Virginia Beach, where 12 people lost their lives. And our Lisa Godley has a beautiful tribute that we will play later in the show to honor those people who lost their lives. And we lost a community champion this week with the passing of Ms. Michelle Cook. Ms. Cook lived in Tidewater Gardens public housing, and she worked tirelessly for the betterment of her community and for all of us. She served as president of the Tidewater Gardens Tenant Management Council and as vice president of the St. Paul's Development Coalition. She was most proud of her civic work with Empower Hampton Roads, where she was able to successfully lobby Norfolk City Council to keep a voting precinct in place at Ruffner Middle School. She also worked with Bevcell and the mobile market, bringing fresh vegetables and fruits to residents. Ms. Cook was a mother, a grandmother, and the oldest of 8 siblings. She believed it was her duty to pay it forward. In light of the pandemic, homegoing services for Ms. Cook are virtual. Services are Friday, May 29th at 10 a.m. at metropolitanfuneralservice.com. We extend our condolences to the Cook family. And in full disclosure, I serve as the liaison to the St. Paul's Area Advisory Committee, of which she was a member. So remember how we all had to make sudden changes and adjustments once the coronavirus pandemic hit? So imagine you are responsible for thousands of students, faculty, and staff, and you have to pivot on a dime to keep the learning going while sending everyone home to safer quarters. Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston can share with us her experience. She's the 7th president of Norfolk State University and is celebrating her first year as its leader. Welcome to Another View, Dr. Adams-Gaston.
Thank you so much for having me, Ms. Ham-Lee.
Please call me Barbara.
Absolutely.
So, do you remember, can you recall vividly the day that you realized that you were going to have to upend the entire Norfolk State family and send them home because of coronavirus?
Yes, I absolutely do. And it was sort of a process. One of the things that we were doing was we were looking very carefully at what was happening starting in February. And we were very fortunate because our chief of police as well as our director of our medical program were starting that process, and they were working with us to really begin to say, what do we think is going to happen? When do we think some of this will occur? And by March 5th, we had already stood up our University Emergency Management Committee to really just look at COVID-19. And then we were in spring break. And what I remember most, because I had just come back from a meeting in Washington for HBCUs for Thurgood Marshall Foundation, and we were just discussing things, and our spring break was coming to an end. And we decided we had to make a quick decision. And the decision that we made was that we would extend our spring break for a year. For a week. We did not want students to come back to the university in that week. And then we were getting ready to go into a virtual instruction mode with our community. So we knew that we needed to work with our faculty so that they could do some training to move from in classroom to online and remote learning. We knew that we needed our students to begin to have an opportunity to come and get their things, but they needed to wait just a little bit so we could coordinate that. And we knew that we were going to have some students for whom it was not possible for them to go somewhere else, and so we needed to make accommodations and prepare for that. So it was a very, very quick, tight turnaround, really a sea shift for the institution. But I have to say I could not be prouder of an institution and the members who are here, because everyone pulled their weight plus some in order to get us.
That is fantastic. So the students, who do you think it was more difficult for? And I'm chuckling as I ask this question. Was it more difficult for faculty to learn how to move to online learning, or for students to accept it?
Oh, that's a tough question. But here's what I would say. I think that we all learned a lot out of this situation because faculty learned that they could, in fact, provide learning in alternative sort of virtual situations. And that, for some faculty, was something they were doing all the time. We had faculty who were online just champions, and they were just great about it. And for other faculty, they had partners, and we used our Office of Extended Learning to do training, to update people, to help them kind of hold their hand through the process. Now, was it a perfect world? No. Nothing is ever a perfect world when you have to turn that quickly. So for the students, I think that we heard an array of experiences, great opportunities to get things done, to interact with faculty who were very responsive, and a new day for them, for some of our students, because that's not their primary learning style. So they were really trying to sort of wrap their head around this new learning style that was virtual and remote. I think that, some of this was coming in higher education anyway, and it just pushed us to be more adept in the way that we deliver learning.
So do you see this as becoming a part of the curriculum moving forward in the way that NSU does its work?
I think that we will always have some online learning and some remote learning. But I also would say that we are primarily an in-person higher education institution. And so that's important to our students and to our faculty, and how we become a hybrid and a best practice model of that, I think, is where we're headed now.
So what are the plans for the fall? Do you know yet, or are you still working on that?
So we're still working on our plans for the fall.
I know everybody is, because you really don't know what to do at this point, I would imagine.
I would say we have really started to look at scenarios, and I think across the nation everybody's looking at scenarios. And so we're looking at, of course, how we bring students back safely with the state support in terms of saying that, we've crossed this bar that the state has to cross in order for us to bring people back. But that is our scenario that we're really interested in. And then we're looking at multiple ways to do that, some of that being hybrid and remote and in person, and some of that being looking at spacing classrooms and making sure that all the things line up that people need to do. And one of the real messages that I think we all need to give is we all need to be safe. And so having people mask when they are in public is very critical.
Absolutely.
In buildings and outside. Having people wash their hands often is really important. Those things help reduce the ability for people to get infected. And then the social distancing, which is, really hard when you're a college student.
Absolutely.
We're all college students, and part of the activity is being engaged with your friends and your peers. But we have to do these things if we're going to move this forward and allow students to come back, and for faculty and staff, and for the safety of the entire community.
So when you hear Dr. Adams-Gaston University of California in Los Angeles, they've already decided all online, stay home, we're not coming back, versus Liberty University here in Virginia, which is, we're open, everybody come back, let's do this thing. The dichotomy between within the higher education world, where does the HBCU fit in that? Or do we just march to our own drummer in terms of what is best for the students that attend an HBCU, and particularly Norfolk State University?
For our students, we're looking at what their special needs and talents and ways that they learn best are. Mm-hmm. But it is true that we are all in the business in higher education of educating students. That's why we exist. And so though there may be ways in which populations of students as well as demographic areas are different, mm-hmm. the unifying factor is our goal is to educate students. And so for our institution, we're really looking at what is the best way to get that done. And in getting that done, so we know that part of our focus is the experiential component of college and of being at a university. So how do we keep that component, that brand that allows our students to want to be here, to need to be here in order to have the growth and development that we want them to have and that they want to have in a world that is a lot changed since they started this process or as they start this process. So we'll have many students who will not have completed their senior year in high school in person. They will all have done this virtually. But they're looking forward to this college experience, which we want them to have, and we want to ensure they have that opportunity. But keeping them safe is our most important issue. We have to make sure that they're all safe and that our faculty and staff have that same opportunity.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call. Okay, Spartan Nation, I know you're out there, so give us a call. Talk to the seventh president of Norfolk State University, Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. So, Dr. Adams-Gaston, when you started last June, could you have even begun to imagine that this would be the ending of your first year? What were your plans, and how much of that were you able to implement before everything just kind of turned topsy-turvy?
Well, I really appreciate that question, because there is nothing in, I think, any of our views that would have had us thinking about quarantining people, having us thinking about social distancing, having us think about testing and now testing and tracing, and having us think about how we keep a population safe. And I'm particularly sensitive to in African American and Latinx and Native communities. Mm-hmm. We're being hit disproportionately high by this virus, and we're losing lives. And so I'm very, very aware that a lot of our focus has to be on what is different and what do we need to do in order to protect this population. So I could not have imagined that would be where we were focusing our energy and attention. I could not have imagined a campus. I mean, our campus is essentially deserted. We've got a few students who remain with us, and we are happy that we're able to provide for them. But faculty and staff and most people are not here. And so in my wildest dreams, that would not be what I expected in my first year. what I will say is without the help and support of an amazing cabinet, as well as our deans, our faculty, our staff, everybody being engaged in this process of saying, we're not finished. This doesn't end us in any way. What we are going to do is ensure that we get through this. We converted our grading policy to pass-fail, which a lot of institutions across the nation did. That gave some flexibility to faculty and staff faculty and students in terms of going forward. They are not going to be penalized because so many institutions of higher education did this. So if they're going on to graduate or professional school, they'll still have that. And one of the things we wanted to do was keep our population engaged. We didn't want them thinking, okay, I have to be away, so that means I'm disconnected. We wanted them to be connected. We did a lot of things with Zoom. We did a lot of things with other platforms, including our Blackboard platform that allowed us to stay connected with our population. But it's not easy. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of new way of thinking about things. I could not have imagined this.
Yeah. Are you hearing from students? Are they planning, once campus reopens, are you concerned that you will lose some students, or because I know that the school was in a rather robust rebuilding process, and with things were really looking up in terms of the expansion on campus and the number of students and so forth. Do you think this will stop that?
So we hear from students, and they're very anxious to come back to school, and they're ready, and they want to be here. And there's some realities out there, and I think that families are going to have to think about a lot of things that have to do with the support of students. What happened for us that was really positive is we received the largest state budget that the institution had ever received. And that was really a lot of work. We had an NSU day at the State House, and we had faculty and staff and students, and we all went around and talked to our legislators, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. We had folks who were going up every week, including myself, but many folks who were connecting, and it all was wonderful. And as you know, that state budget is frozen right now.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we thought we'd be able to do immediately have changed a little bit, but we have made the shift, and things like our IT infrastructure that so desperately needed support, we've used some of the federal dollars that we've received. And so I think all of those things really get to the question of do we think students will come back? I think if we're open, our students will return. I think that we have to be very intentional with our messaging, and we have to be very intentional with ensuring that our community is safe. And I think that's what we're working on. That's what we're working towards, ensuring those things and being able to do some of the things that allow us that safety. I was talking to, Zooming with a group of deans this morning. And one of them said, we've got to get the message out of being Spartan strong. And I think that is absolutely the case. We are Spartan strong. We will prevail. I always think about the fact that this institution, which will turn 85 this year, was born in the Depression. And that a group of African Americans decided that education was so important to this community that they were going to start this institution of higher learning in that environment. And when I think about that, I'm just reminded that education is still pivotal for our success. And so getting our students through a sound experience where they really come to know themselves and the world that they live in is our goal and mission. So we'll get that done. Absolutely. And I think they will come.
We have a question from Facebook. They want to know if testing students is being considered. Is
Absolutely.
that a part of the protocol?
Absolutely. We're looking at testing students. We're looking at what the protocol will be for our students in terms of testing, also tracing. just because we want to make sure that people stay safe. So absolutely, that is on board.
Okay. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. What questions do you have about Norfolk State University? And or would you like to even bring a greeting to the 7th president, Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston? Heather joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Heather. You're on the air.
Yes, I am applauding the 7th president of Norfolk State University. The term hybrid education is brilliant. I support excellence in education. This is possible for safety as long as families are reassured that Spartan Strong means safety first. Online and social campus activities are important. This is doable. You have the tools. You have a visionary, creative leader who will keep your students safe as long as everyone practices public responsibility, as Spartan Strong students will. There is a community of spirit and hope and good education. My son went to Maury. He went to Temple. A lot of people at Temple University had to work 2 or 3 jobs, so they instituted distance learning years ago. And still, obviously, they didn't have this pandemic, but it is possible to get a good education and keep social distance, hand washing, saying, I want to keep my neighbor safe. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Heather, for the call. We really appreciate that. Would you like to respond, Dr. Adams-Gaston?
Absolutely. The one thing that I love about this position and I love about this institution is how much people truly care about and love and support Norfolk State University. So I want to first thank the caller. That was just wonderful. But I also would say to our entire community, our alums, our community, our faculty, staff, students, I could not be prouder of a place where people think highly of what this institution is, what it has contributed, and they think very highly of what do we need to do to help with the success. So thank you so much.
So your experience, and you've had years and years of, not to make you old, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about how experienced you are.
But there's truth, okay.
But not only are you a psychologist by trade, but you also have had more than 30 years of higher education experience working at Johns Hopkins University, University of Maryland, College Park. I'm from Baltimore, so those schools are kind of dear to my heart. To the Ohio State University, etc. All of those are predominantly white institutions, and now you're leading an HBCU. What's the difference in the culture, or is there a difference? Let me not assume that there is. Do you see a difference in the culture and in the way that schools are able to help students between, as what they're called, PWIs and HBCUs?
I think that there's opportunity in both environments. I think I aspire to have this opportunity at an HBCU because I think there is something really special about what we are able to give our students and the way that we're able to give that to our students. Having been in other environments, I know that I worked very hard to give students a similar experience, but it's different here. I have a sister who was a longtime faculty member, now retired from Howard University. I have an aunt who graduated from Norfolk State University, and I was just telling people, I spoke to her at length. We did a family Zoom on Mother's Day, and she was telling me all the other family members that we have who've graduated from Norfolk State University.
Wow.
And what is so important, I have a son who went to Morehouse. What is so important is that people truly have deep roots and connectivity to this institution. There is a pride that happens when you come into the institution that permeates the entire experience. It is around excellence, and you can be excellent. And, I hear from students sometimes who say, well, I don't have people asking me, well, why do you do your hair like that? Or how does your hair go that way? Or
Yeah.
whatever the questions are, that they feel that it's home. And it's a place where they know they can grow and develop. And we're preparing them for the rest of the world. We're preparing them to have an impact on the world through their success. So we want them to be engaged with the rest of the world. And we're a 21st century HBCU, so we're open to anyone who really wants to think about how I am growing and developing and going to impact the world in a way that looks at all perspectives and all individuals having the not only the opportunity, but having the expectation that they make their mark on the world. They change the way the world is seen, especially around diversity and inclusion.
Mm-hmm. I'm an HBCU graduate too, so I understand exactly what you're saying. If you're just joining us, we're talking with the president of Norfolk State University, Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston, who is celebrating her first year as the 7th president of Norfolk State University. Do you think that... Well, let me change. I'm going to change direction, I think. Okay, so my question to you now is, would you dispel the myth that that I hear from a lot of people within the community and across the nation, that the only people who go to HBCUs are Black people?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That is mythology in a large way. And they should go and visit some HBCU campuses and know some of the statistics.
Mm-hmm.
I think all HBCUs are really open to students who want an opportunity to best express themselves and to be able to live in a world that is diverse and be able to not only understand that world, but impact that world and have people recognize that. So we have students of all races, all backgrounds, and across the world. And so that's not uncommon, and it is the case that we invite individuals into our world because we know that they will be made better for having been a part of this experience.
Mm-hmm. And what do you say to those people who say, well, I understand why HBCUs started, however, we don't need them anymore?
Oh, I think we need them in a big way. And having come from the institutions that I had the privilege of being at, I see the great impact that HBCUs have, not only in the community in which they exist, but in the world. So if you think about who the drivers are who come from HBCUs in terms of African Americans, in terms of physicians, in terms of lawyers, in terms of doctors, teachers, et cetera, we are disproportionately represented in the country by individuals who came from HBCUs, meaning there are many more of those individuals coming out of HBCUs than other institutions. We want judges. We want those things to continue to happen.
Absolutely. So who is the typical Spartan today?
Oh, I love our Spartans. And so I don't know if we have a typical one, but I'll tell you this about our Spartans, especially our students. They are bright. They are talented. They come forward with amazing ideas. I had a couple of Zoom groups with students, and as I talked about things, or we were talking about, for example, with one group we were talking with seniors about not having the opportunity to have commencement this year. Mm-hmm. Their ideas were, so much better than any ideas that I could have come up with. But that just speaks to the way that they think about and process information as they critically think about things. And they're individuals who are always thinking of what else? What else can we do? What else would be good? They love this place. They are so proud of being a Spartan, and I share that pride with them. They also are leaders in the academic mission. We have students who are just doing amazing things, and they're going on to graduate professional school or their first position. We have our Dean of Business who talks about being first day ready for jobs. We are pushing our students to do internships. I really believe none of our students should leave here without having had an internship experience. That helps them to be the employee of choice because they're ready. And that's what is special about our students. They care. They want to do well. They are exceptionally gifted and bright, and they look at this experience as their opportunity to do something great.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. What questions do you have about the future of Norfolk State University? Give us a call, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Kathy joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Kathy. You're on the air.
Yes, hello. Thank you for taking my call. Hi, Dr. Adams-Gaston. This is Kathy Thomas. I'm actually a professor at Norfolk State University. And I just wanted to
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you.
I'm with Health, Physical Education, Exercise Science, and I wanted to second what you had said. First of all, that not all blacks teach at Norfolk State, nor are they students. I happen to be a white woman, and I love teaching at Norfolk State University. I always have said that I was not a great undergraduate student, but I made it through, and I think that I'm a great example for some of our students who come from first-generation background colleges. And I also wanted to brag on the fact that we have, so far from our current graduate class, we have 4 students that are going to graduate school, one of which is going to physical therapy school at Old Dominion University. So I just wanted to say hello and second what you said about the greatness of Norfolk State.
Thank you.
And I thank you. I know.
Thank you, Kathy.
I, of course, know who you are, and I thank you for all the work that you do, as well as the success that we're having. Thank you for signing in, because I think it's important for people to hear multiple perspectives about what we have to offer and why this is an amazing offering for students. So thank you for calling in. I appreciate that, Dr. Thomas.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you again.
Thank you, Kathy, for the call. We appreciate that. Theodore joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Theodore. You're on the air.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay,
hey,
how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just calling because behind the statement about what the type of student that inhabit Norfolk State. I am a recent graduate with my master's degree from Norfolk State School of Education. I am 65 years old, and that is a family there.
That's fantastic.
My primary professor was, shout out to Dr. Keisha Khan. I'm a Kappa Pi, and I'm loving it. I'm loving this conversation.
Thank you so much for the call.
So much. We really appreciate you, and congratulations on that degree. I appreciate that you are one of those individuals that are lifelong learners, and that's a great model for the rest of our students.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, I forgot. I am currently in my residency for clinical mental health counseling. So keep on trucking.
Wow.
All right.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for the call, Theodore. So what's going to happen with graduation for this year, for the seniors class of 2020?
So one of the things that our seniors were very clear about was that they did not want to do their graduation virtually. They want to walk across the stage at some point. And a couple of things happened that were really exciting. One is we had our marketing and communications department really put together a very nice reminder and tribute to the students who were graduating, and it was just so well done. They did a great job. And then we had the surprise that students were not aware of, and that was having Pharrell Williams, who had been scheduled to be our commencement speaker, who decided that he wanted still to give some information or an address to our students, which he did virtually. And it was, if you've not listened to that 22 minutes, I would highly encourage people to listen, because he has a lot to say, and he really tailored it to the Norfolk State experience. he talked about our wonderful Legion marching band, and as a musician, the connectivity there. But then he talked about things that had to do with African American, and really thinking about the processes and the ways that we have contributed to this United States of America and across the world. So that was a great, great opportunity for our students to have something extra. And so it kind of went viral, and CNN and other places acknowledged that this was happening, and they were very excited. And we also participated in the HBCU graduation, and that was wonderful. And former President Barack Obama was one of the speakers, along with many other people. We had the opportunity to showcase what was available for our students. So those were great. But what they really want is a graduation and a commencement in the traditional sense, and we're going to provide that for them. It all depends on how the semester sort of rolls out, what happens with this upcoming semester, whether or not they're interested in something during homecoming. If we are in a position to do that, we, of course, would honor that. And their second choice is to have it during the December graduation that we would normally have. So we will honor their request, and we'll work with them, continue to work with them to provide the best opportunity.
Okay. Jean joins us from Suffolk. Hi, Jean. You're on the air.
Hi. I wanted to know if they have any programs for older Americans that want to return to school, and how much of their population consists of older Americans who have returned to school.
Absolutely. We encourage individuals to return. And I think Theodore is an example of individuals who have returned. I don't have the population percentage number for you right on hand, but we can make sure you get that. I would say that we do a mixture of things. We have students of all demographics in class together, because there's a richness that occurs there when they're hearing individuals who've had lots of experience and individuals who are new and thinking of things in a different way. So we invite and encourage anyone to join our community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the call, Jean. We appreciate it. Dr. Adams-Gaston, were there students who had connectivity issues or needed laptops or other means to be able to continue their education? And was the university able to help them in that way, if that were the case?
Absolutely. And I had the opportunity, we had students for whom connectivity was an issue, and sometimes faculty or staff. But there's differential connectivity in cities and certainly in the more rural areas, and we did not want our students to lose the opportunity to do their online work and their online connection. So we also had students who did not have laptops, and so we provided laptops for students who needed them, over 250 of those. And we also provided hotspots for students and faculty and staff who needed that, because we know that sometimes our communities can be disadvantaged in terms of especially broadband connectivity that is fast-paced. So I had the opportunity to be on a panel with the FCC commissioner to talk about just this issue. And I'm very grateful for that, because what that allowed us to do is to get the word out that we need to have 5G and other opportunities in our communities so that students can be successful in the way that some of their counterparts are able to be successful.
So, as you know, I am well connected in the city in terms of various activities that go on. And a lot of times I sit in meetings and I hear others in the room talk about, let's call ODU to get this help, or let's call William and Mary, or let's call, and it's never or rarely is it let's call Norfolk State. It is tough for us, and one of the things that we pride ourselves on here at Another View is using people of color as experts because we know that they're there and they can serve in those roles. So I want to give you an opportunity to pitch your staff and your faculty in terms of the expertise that is available to help the rest of the community.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we're learning and we're working very hard on is we need to be in the room. And we are pushing ourselves and our executive team and our deans, our faculty and others to be in the room so that we are raising our hands. One of the things I note is when we are in the room, people remember, NSU has an amazing cyber program, cybersecurity, cyber psychology. Oh, yeah, when we're talking about these things, we need to utilize them. Oh, they have a wonderful nursing program. Why aren't we connecting with them? In fact, our nursing program was able to provide PPE to the city of Norfolk. And so, those kind of things, we have lots of expertise. Our business school is very well connected and is pushing organizations to include our students as interns and make sure that they have internships that are successful. Our psychology department, very, very strong. And so our social work program, I could go on. And I hate to leave out anybody because they're all doing great things. But we have the expertise here. And we need to make sure that people know that we're here, we're available, we're going to be in the rooms. So you're going to have a hard time forgetting that NSU provides this expertise because we're going to be there. Our engineering program, we could go on, and I am just really concerned that people may not know what they should know about who we are and what we offer. I mean, some of the work that was done with the 1619 Project and our history department and our College of Liberal Arts and those kind of things. Those are amazing resources that we need to make sure people know about, but not only know about, but utilize as the experts that they are.
No, you'll be proud to know we utilize Norfolk State quite a bit. Dr. Eric LaVille with the Center for for African American Public Policy, and Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander, Dr. Kathy Jackson. I could go on and on in terms of the expertise. So thank you. Yeah, I said Dr. Cassandra Newby-Alexander. My producer's in my ear going, "Don't forget Cassandra." We got about 4 minutes left. I'm going to try to get another call in. Eric joins us from Norfolk. Hi, Eric. You're on the air.
Hi, Barbara. Dr.
Hi.
President Adams-Gaston, how are you? Well, listen, it looks like I called in at just the right time. Very quickly, I'd just like to congratulate the president on a successful first year. Of course, this year has been like no other year for any president. But I want her to know that not only is the Hampton Roads area taking notice of the great things that are happening during her tenure, but also across the country as I read editorials and get comments and so forth. But I believe nothing happens haphazardly. Everything happens for a reason. And if you could, President Gaston, I want you to, if you could, talk about your time coming here and your time starting at OSU, if you haven't already, during the time of crisis or pandemics there. And then again, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for calling in. Again, just the thing that I love about being here is people are so committed and engaged. One of the things that I'll tell you is when I first went to OSU, we were just starting the time of H1N1, and the president made myself and the head of the health service sort of the czars of H1N1. So I said very recently, I think that was my training to be ready for COVID-19. So I understood the kinds of things that we needed to stand up, the ways that we needed to approach this. And, you take the things that you learn in one place and you utilize them in the next place. And then you have good people around you who really are smart and talented and, sort of the best in their areas, and they keep the process moving and make sure that we're hitting all of the issues. I mean, there's so many safety issues that our chief of our police is really focused on. There's so many issues that the head of our medical center is focused on, and then all of the people who are around us who help us to get better. But I feel very, very comfortable that I was well trained and well prepared.
Well, Dr. Adams-Gaston, we welcome you again to the Hampton Roads area. I know it's been a year and I know you've gotten your feet wet, but there are many more great things to come, I am sure, out of Norfolk State University. So we've got less than a minute. One last thing you'd like to say?
The last thing that I would like to say is we're really focused on access, affordability, and student success. That's who we are at Norfolk State University. We invite and encourage people to know that this is a home for you, that this is a place that you're welcome, and we want you here, and we continue the rich tradition that has made us so successful.
Oh, thank you so very much. That's Dr. Javaune Adams-Gaston, the 7th president of Norfolk State University. And we will be right back.
Hi, this is Essie Patha-Murkerson from Law and Order. You are listening to Another View.
And welcome back. This weekend, the city of Virginia Beach will remember the victims of last year's mass shooting at the Virginia Beach Municipal Center. It was May 31st when a city engineer shot 16 people, killing 12 and devastating the city, our region, and our nation. Our Unleash Godly pays tribute to the 12 victims who are gone, but not forgotten.
You don't know, you never knew just how much you helped us, the legend that is you.
Ryan Keith Cox of Virginia Beach, an account clerk with Public Utilities for 12 years. During the shooting, Cox told 8 of his colleagues to barricade themselves in an office while he went to check on others. He's described as a true hero with a beautiful singing voice. Michelle Missy Langer of Virginia Beach, an administrative assistant with Public Utilities for 12 years. She loved the beach. She's remembered as a really nice person, fun-loving and approachable. Just can't say enough about how nice she was. Herbert Burt Snelling of Virginia Beach, a contractor who was filing a permit when the shooting occurred. He's remembered as a warm, generous person and an ideal neighbor who would give you the shirt off his back. Tara Gallagher of Virginia Beach, a wife and mother to her young son Patrick, who is now 3 years old. Tara worked as an engineer with Public Works for 6 years. Her husband says Tara loved raising their son and fixing up their home. Selfless and invisible, never one to take a bow. Richard Nettleton of Norfolk was an engineer with Public Utilities for 28 years and a veteran. He was passionate about his wife, his work, and the Boston Red Sox. He's described as someone with a steady demeanor, and you couldn't help but like him. Joshua Hardy of Virginia Beach, engineering technician with Public Utilities for more than 4 years. Hardy, a former deacon, worked for the city of Norfolk for about 20 years before taking a position in Virginia Beach. He's described as someone who was always fun to be around, a bright spot in our family. So many things. Christopher Kelly Rapp of Powhatan, an engineer with Public Works for just 11 months. According to his friends, he always had a smile on his face and a positive vibe. Alexander Mikhail Gusev of Virginia Beach worked as a right-of-way agent with Public Works for 9 years. He's described as a model professional, and remembered as generous and kind, full of life, joy, and laughter. Robert Williams of Chesapeake, a special projects coordinator with public utilities. Robert had been with the city for more than 40 years and had planned to retire in 2019 to spend more time with his family. He's remembered as just a good guy.
You don't know, you never knew just how much you helped us, the legend that is you.
Catherine Kate Nixon of Virginia Beach, sweet loving wife and mother of 3 girls, the youngest now 2.5. Catherine worked as an engineer with public utilities. She oversaw regulatory compliance for the department for 10 years. She's remembered as a wonderful soul and the kind of supervisor everyone would want.
You just didn't know.
Laquita C. Brown of Chesapeake, a right-of-way agent with Public Works for 4.5 years. She loved to travel and loved football. She's described as someone who always saw the best in people, even when everybody else would see the worst. She's remembered as someone who could light up a room. Mary Louise Gale of Virginia Beach, a Public Works Department employee for 24 years. At the time of her death, she was looking forward to a family trip to Portland. Her adult children say the trip was planned around an event where Gale would accept a national award for her public works achievements.
Any life you touched.
To family members, close friends, and co-workers, you remain in our thoughts and prayers. The lives these 12 touched and the impact they made won't be forgotten.
Well, guess what? You're the cool superhero. Always there when the world was falling down. You just didn't know. You weren't protected.
And we invite you to share your memories and tributes on our website, whro.org/news. Thank you so much for continuing to practice social distancing, washing your hands frequently, wearing a mask in public, and staying home as much as possible. We appreciate all you are doing to keep COVID-19 from spreading. Next week on Another View, Reverend Dr. Antipas Harris with his new book, Is Christianity the White Man's Religion? How the Bible is Good News for People of Color. It's an interesting conversation you won't want to miss. Our theme music was composed and performed by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Todd Washburn is our audio engineer. And Dr. Barry Graham answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And we'll see you next Thursday at noon for Another View.